Well, the British had investments in Kuwaiti oil, and the Kuwaitis had investments in British debt. But what's that got to do with you and me, Tucker Carlson? They're not even going to threaten to attack Iraq over Kuwait. We don't like it, but we're prepared to accept it. And that held for 3 days until Margaret Thatcher came to town. And Margaret Thatcher essentially called Bush a wimp and said, "Don't you go wobbly on me now, Bush." And that became a big scandal because she's a woman and she's calling out his manhood. And he had already been called a wimp president. Cover of Newsweek, wimp president. And he had to somehow get over that. So that was when he said, "Oh, this will not stand," and all that. Well, the British had investments in Kuwaiti oil, and the Kuwaitis had investments in British debt. But what's that got to do with you and me, Tucker Carlson? I mean, we declared independence from the British Empire a long time ago, I heard.
So, yeah.
But no. And so they went to run this errand essentially for the Brits to reinstall. And I remember, and I was very interested in this, I don't remember the words His Royal Highness King Al-Jaber being mentioned once on the news, that was what the war was for, to reinstall King Al-Jaber to his throne. I don't even remember hearing that name a single time during all that. We just must protect the poor Kuwaitis. And of course they lied. And they pretended that Saddam was lining up his tanks on the Saudi border and was prepared to invade Saudi Arabia, which was a total hoax, never happened. And then they lied about the atrocities. And the daughter of the Kuwaiti ambassador to the United States lied before the Congress and said that she was a nurse at the hospital in Kuwait City and saw Iraqi soldiers dump premature babies out of the incubators and leave them on the cold floor to die, she said, and steal their incubators. And George Bush and the PR people repeated this, senior that is, and the PR people repeated this numerous times as an example of why we absolutely had to intervene for humanitarian reasons to save the poor Kuwaitis. Total hoax. She was not a nurse and she wasn't even in the country at the time of the invasion. It was all just a made up lie, but it was good enough to create the moral outrage in the country to get people to support the war.